All right, I'm here to show you how to wedge your clay and then to show you some of the key points about coil pots and some of the tips that are going to help make this a lot easier for you. So I've got ahead and pulled out my clay. I'm going to show you how to wedge it. I'm going to show you two techniques. Now there are more than two techniques. I'm only going to show you two. If you know a different one, that's fine too. Just make sure it's something that will get all those air bubbles out. All right, let's get started. Okay, so you got your clay. One technique, the one I don't use that often, is the ram's head. For that one, we're kind of going to be rolling it as kind of, if you watch right here, you'll see. It's kind of hard to get this to, there we go. All right, you push it again and again, folding over. As you can see, I've got my little ledge here, and each time I set it on top of there and I push it down. Push it down. That's pushing out those air bubbles. You'll eventually get a spiral up here for what's like a ram's head. Like the rams with the horns, you'll see that up here. Now the way that I usually wedge is called the rose pattern. Let me show you that. So we're going to be twisting and getting the air bubbles out, but this time it's going to be called the rose technique. So with that, put both of my hands up on top. I push down and I push more with my right hand than my left, so as to twirl it like so. I personally prefer this method because if I'm going to be throwing on the wheel, I need something a little bit more cylindrical so that when I'm on the wheel, I've got more of a pyramid looking thing or a triangle. Okay. And I'm just twisting and twisting. Works better on a table. Here we go. You'll even hear some of those air bubbles popping out. It's kind of cool. Oh, I just heard a pop. Now this conditions your clay, gets it ready for you to work with it. Okay, as you can see, starting to build a rose up there. Okay, there we go. All right. So now with the coil pot, you need to start with a base, and you also need to have a flat piece so that you can cut out your coils before you roll them. Two ways you can do that here in class. Now, preferably we'd have a slab roller, which we do not have here, but we do have rolling pins. Don't need to explain a rolling pin to you, but I'm going to show you the throwdown technique that you can use if you're waiting for a rolling pin. All right, so I'm picking up my clay, and I'm just going to slam it down over and over, and I pull it. So as I pull back, pulling it towards me a little bit, and it's going to stretch that out. Getting thinner and thinner. Oh, I'm going pretty far that way, so I'm going to turn it a little. So now that I've made my slab, I'm going to cut out my base before I start cutting and rolling my coils. If you've got a shape in mind, you can definitely put it on top of there and trim it off. Okay. Okay, once you've got your base with a coil pot, two things: score and how you roll. Scoring and using your slip is going to make it what's going to hold it together or fall apart. I'm going to use a needle tool to score mine. You could use a paper clip or any other sharp end from one of our tools. All right, so I'm going to put around the edge, so I'm just going to go all the way around. Once I've got that scored, it's time to make my coils. Now, I've seen people try to just roll them in their hands like this. Now, that's going to get you uneven. Look how big the end is there. What I'm going to recommend you do is you're going to roll it on your board, your cardboard, tablecloth, something that's flat. Now, the other thing I'm going to also recommend when you're rolling, and this is very important, if you roll with little tiny hands, remember how when I did it up here, I've got like thin parts, thicker parts, it's uneven. When you're rolling on the table, instead of using little T-Rex arms, you're going to be using Velociraptor arms. T-Rex arms, no. Velociraptor arms, yes. So, if you look down here, I'm going to move my base up here. All right. Remember, no T-Rex. Velociraptor. 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 Okay. Now, I also want to score this. I'm going to do it the same way. You can't really, well, I guess you could score too deep, but you could never use too many score marks on there, and you could never use, well, you could use too much slip, but you can always wipe that off. You're better to have more than you are to have less. All right, just doing one for a sample here. Move my pot over. I'm gonna take my slip that I've made, I've stirred up. I'm gonna put it all around my edge where I'm gonna be attaching this. All the way around. Once I then have my slip all the way around, I'm not rubbing it in, I'm just putting it on top. Okay, where it's scored, I'm gonna take the scored part of my coil, I'm gonna press it down onto my base. Obviously, bigger coils, you're gonna go further. Remember, T-Rex, no. Velociraptor, yes. There we go, Velociraptor. Okay, I'm gonna score all of them. I'd make longer coils. This is just a demonstration to show you how to roll them, how to score them, how to slip them, and pushing them together. Some slip onto this piece. Now remember, anywhere that a coil touches, you need to slip and score it for it to stick. The other thing you got to decide, am I going to make it a smooth pot, or in my designs did I show the coils? I'm going to show you on the inside of this how I would smooth it out. You can use one of those little ribs that we have, or you could use just another tool or your finger to smooth them out. I'm going to show you real quick with just a smoothing tool on the inside of my pot. All right, now it's up to you. Make sure it looks similar to one of your pictures. If you want to get fancier, by all means, please do. Your time to be creative. Don't just make a basic cup. Design it. Don't make it all just be the glaze. Glaze is not reliable. Do as much as you can with the construction of your coil pot to make it stand out, to make it original, to make it you. Do everything you can on the building part. The glaze is just supplemental. So the best you can do is make your coil pot constructed original. An original coil pot that will stand out and is what you want. All right, good luck, guys.